Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. I probably shouldn't comment on this, but I'm too small to be cancelled, so it doesn't matter. I can say whatever I want. The whole Johnathan Majors thing has been interesting. A lot of people are talking about it because they're comparing it to what happened with Ezra Miller and Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and how he does seem to be getting slightly different treatment, which of course they're attributing to racism because, I mean, America's racist, so why wouldn't it be like that? But I mean, okay, I think the guy's really hot. And he seems to be really talented, and I was really hoping that this wasn't true because I wanted to see this guy become a really big star. Partly because he's not your conventional pretty boy, and he does seem to actually have talent, so I really wanted to see him go somewhere. And because of the racism in America, it's so easy to assume this was just being manufactured about him because they just want to tear down someone because they don't want another Eddie Murphy or Michael Jackson or someone who's that successful that's black. They hate them. So I just thought that's what it was. But then I started to listen to some of the things that were being said. Now, when it first came out, his lawyer said, it's not true, we've got proof, we've got video proof, this will all be shut down right away, it's nothing. And it wasn't shut down right away. In fact, the district attorney or whoever was in charge basically said, regardless of what the victim is saying, we are going to pursue this anyway. This guy's going to court. And that looked really bad. And I think they can do that. Just if they think a crime has happened, they can prosecute the person regardless of whether an actual victim is charging or anything like that. But so people were like, well, where's this evidence then? Because you assume they would just release it and end all this. And what they at first released was, because they said they had video of the taxi ride showing that the woman actually assaulted him and he was trying to get away from her, he didn't do anything, and that he was innocent. But this video hasn't been released. What was released was text messages of her taking the blame for what happened and saying it was her fault for trying to take his phone away, which anyone who's dealt with abusers, or abusive behaviour and that saw that right away as a victim taking blame and trying to protect an abuser. That's how that really sounded. And I heard that, I was like, oh no, because they're acting like, oh, this is proof, she says it didn't happen. I'm like, yeah, like every other woman slapped around by her husband who's standing behind her with the police are at the door and she's like, I'm fine. Yeah, no. That's how that played out, and I'm like, oh no. That was the point where I was like, oh no, he did it. Because if they didn't have it, if that's the best they had, that's nuts. That just said to a lot of people, red flag, And then a whole lot of his actor friends basically stood up and said, yeah, he's a sociopath, yeah, no. So I'm like, oh no. But some of them might have just wanted attention. They were just riding the wave, trying to use him. I still was thinking in the back of my head, no, maybe it's just, And then they said, we've got more video evidence. And they put out a video of this woman at a bar after the assault. And they're saying, well, she looks fine. I'm like, that's not proof. I mean, I got hit by a car. I flew 20 feet through the air, just about died, and went to a Bon Jovi concert like 5 hours later. I was in shock. I was shaking. I was sweating. I was in pain. I had a killer headache and a migraine that just about killed me later that evening. But if you looked at the video camera of if there was like CCTV, whatever, footage around the arena of me, you probably would have thought I was just, another person going to the concert. That doesn't mean anything. She could have been in pain. She could have been in shock. She could have, she was very drunk. She could have been just masking the pain or whatever. It doesn't prove anything. And it's like, well, we've got the proof, but we're not going to give the proof. But here, look, we're just going to, argue with that and say, well, no, it couldn't be because. I'm like, well, just show us the proof. So that looked really bad. And then the last piece is they're saying, again, they have video footage of the body cam of the police showing up, and it shows that, because allegedly what happened was she was, I think, drunk and jealous because he was talking to someone else on his phone. She tried to take his phone away. She assaulted him. He got the taxi driver to stop and basically escaped from her. She went out, went to the clubs, got drunk, and sent messages and turned up at his apartment drunk, threw up in his bed, and passed out in his closet. He found her, called the police because he was worried about her. I don't know if she said she had an injury or if she appeared to have an injury or something. But the story is that the police showed up and coached her into accusing him of something and then arrested him because, they have to. It's like, supposedly you have to arrest someone if there's any possible injury from someone. You have to arrest someone, because I guess that's how the police work. It's not about actually helping people solving crimes, it's just about arresting people and filling your quota or something. So apparently they claim, well, we're not racist, we just had to arrest someone, and she appeared to be a victim to us, so we just had to arrest him and we didn't have a choice, which was just the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. So I really don't know what to think. They say they've got the video footage in the taxi, which would make sense because all these Uber drivers and taxi drivers now have cameras to protect themselves for this exact sort of thing. If they've got that, it's over. And the other argument is, and the other statement is that they've got the body cam footage, which apparently shows the police coaching her. Supposedly you can hear them talking her into making an accusation, or just putting the words in her mouth and leading her and saying, oh, did he hit you? That sort of thing. So if that's there, why not release it, end this? And part of me thinks that's too simple. If they just released it, if they're taking this person to court, they've already got the evidence out there. The prosecution is going to have already seen all their evidence. They can't put it out there. Maybe that's why they're holding it back, or maybe it doesn't exist and they're just trying to bluff everyone into thinking, oh no, he's innocent, when he's actually not. So I don't know, but the only evidence they've shown is ridiculous. Her going to a club afterwards doesn't mean anything. I was assaulted once by someone. I went out afterwards. I spent a big portion of the evening sitting in shock, wondering where my friend was who didn't show up that night. But I spent another part of the night dancing because I made myself have a good night and not let that ruin it. So the fact that she was at a club and was handing like a credit card to a bartender or something, that doesn't mean anything. Just like these text messages, they're like, oh, this proves he didn't do it because she said so. Well, most victims of domestic abuse, protect their abusers because they're afraid of them, or I'm not even going to get into all that. It doesn't mean anything. So if you've got all this other evidence, why don't you show it? And like I said, part of me thinks, well, they can't just throw out all their evidence because they're about to go to court, and just putting it out into the public arena and changing the opinion of the court of, public opinion doesn't mean that court case is going to disappear and they, can just ignore that and not be prepared. So I'm confused, but I don't want this to be true. I want this guy to be a good guy. I want him to have a great career. I want to see him in other films and other performances and that. But this is just a mess. But he is getting kind of treated differently than the others. All the people he was working with, campaigns and stuff like that, have dropped him. His management's dropped him. Apparently he's quit a bunch of boards and things voluntarily that he knew was kind of going to happen anyway, and he's lost some film roles apparently. Now Amber Heard I don't think anything bad happened to her. Ezra Miller, he's got the I'm gay, so I can say this. He's got the gay card and he's mentally ill, so he's got that to use as a defense and as a redemption, because I'm getting help, so we can fix the problem, as opposed to if you're just an abusive normal person, you don't have much of an excuse or much of a way out. You just have to take your punishment. But is this just because he's black and it's just so easy for them to believe he's guilty and to vilify him and cancel him and just throw him out like trash? Is that what this is? Or is this people being just responsible to their businesses and saying we can't support you or be involved with you because you look bad and you're going through this and we need to separate ourselves from that? And is he going to be found innocent later, and is he going to have a whole industry full of people apologising to him and trying to make it up to him? Is he going to be able to work with these people again, all these people who abandoned him and turned their back on him and tried to sell their story, sort of thing? And apparently there are other women who are coming forward, but are these people just opportunists? Or are they actual real victims of someone with a pattern because they're an abusive person with a pattern of abuse? I don't know, but I just had to comment on it because it's interesting. And I just want to talk about it, and here I am alone with no one to talk to except my trebles and my Muppets, and they don't give very interesting responses. So at least, you know, you guys can let me know in the comments what you think. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I think he might be innocent, and this is part of just overall strategy of dealing with it legally. But another part of me just sees red flags and is like, maybe you just don't want him to be guilty because he's hot and you like him, and that's pretty pathetic. But I don't know. I'm gonna go. Bye.